Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the witnesses who are here today. Ambassador Sherman, as you and I have discussed at length, I have very deep concerns with the Biden administration's approach to Iran. I believe the Biden administration has consistently demonstrated weakness and appeasement towards Iran, and I believe that weakness and appeasement only invites further conflict and further risk of loss of human life. In the last 6 months, the Ayatollah has declared open season on the United States and our interests. The Iranians have attacked American forces repeatedly and killed a U.S. military contractor. They have tried to conduct terrorism on U.S. soil, even going so far as attempting kidnapping of an American journalist on American soil, sending an Iranian kidnap team to our country. They have launched attack after attack after attack on our Arab allies. They have launched multiple attacks on civilian vessels, including an attack on an Israeli ship, and killed citizens from 2 close U.S. allies, Great Britain and Romania. And in just the last few hours, there are reports of yet more ships being hit by Iranian mines. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has again and again declined to respond to these attacks. And worse, the Biden administration has revoked terrorism sanctions against Iran's terrorist proxies in Yemen. Your administration has removed Iranian officials from sanctions. You've dialed back enforcement of oil sanctions, including violations by the Chinese Communist Party. You've unlocked Iranian accounts worth billions of dollars to allow Iran to pay down debts, and pointedly, you have repeatedly declined to respond to Iranian attacks against our troops and haven't imposed a single new sanction. Why is it that the Biden administration has not responded and responded forcefully to these repeated Iranian attacks?
Senator, you and I, as you note, have an ongoing discussion about how best to ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon, that it stops its state sponsorship of terrorism, that it stops its malign behavior in the region, that it stops putting our allies and partners at risk. We both have the same objective, and that is to ensure that our people and those of our partners and allies are protected, and to ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon and stops its malign behavior. So we are in agreement on the objective. We have a disagreement about the means. I do not agree with some of what you have put on the table. I believe the Biden administration has had maximum sanctions.
Name one sanction you've imposed on Iran.
We have added additional entities on an ongoing basis as we have the evidentiary information about those entities.
But is your strategy working? Are they stopping the attacks or are they scaling them up?
Senator, nothing has stopped the attacks by Iran. The killing of Qasem Soleimani did not deter the Iranians from attacks.
Now, is the reason that you haven't responded, do you lack the authorization to respond?
We do not lack the authorization to respond, and the president has taken strikes both in February and in June against Iranian-backed militia. So, Senator, I think we probably will not come to an agreement on this, on how best to approach Iran, but I do appreciate that we have the same objective.
So the debate Congress is having over the 2002 AUMF, I very much support Congress reasserting its authority over the war-making authority of our government. I think that is an important constitutional authority. But I worry that this debate is occurring in the context of the Biden administration's embrace of Iran and the Ayatollah, and that the repeal of the AUMF will be used as justification for continuing to go soft on Iran. The White House has stated in a June 14th statement of administration policy that, quote, the United States has no ongoing military activities that rely solely on the 2002 AUMF as a domestic legal basis, and repeal of the 2002 AUMF would likely have minimal impact on current military operations. That statement uses the word current very precisely. Is it the position of the Biden administration that the 2002 AUMF was necessary for any of the operations against Iran undertaken in the past 10 years?
I can have the lawyer speak to the last 10 years. What I can say is that the strikes that were taken in February and June against Iran-backed militia were taken on the
Let me
basis
ask you
of Article
specifically
2.
about the one you referenced a minute ago, which is the attack on General Soleimani. Do you believe that that was legally authorized, number one, and number two, did it require the 2002 AUMF to have authorization?
I was not part of that administration, but my understanding is that Article 2 was used as the primary authority for taking that strike.
And what is the Biden State Department's position now? Was that strike authorized by Article 2 or not?
I defer to my,
I'm asking the Biden State Department.
I refer to the State Department's lawyer.
Good morning, Senator. The strike on Soleimani under the last administration, as my former colleague, who was then the acting legal advisor, said to this committee, I would emphasize that independent of the 2002 AUMF, the President's constitutional authority under Article 2 provided a sufficient basis in domestic law for this strike.
Thank you.
So plainly, at the time, it was thought that the Article 2 authority was sufficient. The 2002 AUMF was cited as, in addition, additional authority, which is consistent with the way it has been articulated, at least for the last 6 years. You recall there was, prior to the 6 years, there was a period of time where there was not a lot of military operations in the Iraq space. It was with the return of ISIS that things ramped up again. And obviously, with respect to ISIS, we have the 2001 AUMF that provides us authority.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Merkley.